Alibaba celebrates as sales soar. How investors are playing that stock now. In today's cover story, what a recent trade deal with China could mean for U.S. tech companies. Plus, retailers are preparing for a sales rush as Thanksgiving becomes the hot shopping holiday. And why one trader says hedge funds make it tricky to trade retail earnings out this morning. First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Angela Miles. It's Wednesday, November 12th. In our first look, the S&P's Big 4-0. The S&P closed at a record high for the 40th time this year. That index is up 10% for the year. The Dow also ended at a record high. The Nasdaq gained 9 points. Gold rallied $4 and oil 14 cents. In action after hours, trendy watch retailer Fossil beat on earnings and sealed a deal again on a licensing agreement with Michael Kors. Fossil shares clocked in an 11% gain after the bell. And Yahoo is buying Brightroll. Brightroll is a video advertising platform. Yahoo will pay $640 million in cash for that acquisition. Trader Dan Stessich of Athena Advisor Services joins us just for a minute to talk about a preview of the market action. Do you think that there will be more volume in the market today after yesterday's holiday for Veterans Day?
You know, absolutely. On days like yesterday, when you have the treasuries closed and the stock market's open, it's always light volume. I don't think it's a good idea that that one of them should be open without the other. They probably should both be closed, but we'll be back to normal today. And it's still going to be relatively light. Not a lot going on right now.
Home builders have been moving higher. Are there any names that you would like to buy?
One that's really been battered down for a while is Hovnanian. I do own Hovnanian, but they've gained a little bit in the past few days. And as a result, I wouldn't buy them right now. I'd like to see them tail off a little bit, because if you watch home builders, they'll have these good spikes, fall back a little bit. That's probably when you should look at them.
I know a lot of Americans are wondering how much it will cost to heat their homes this winter as we get a blast of Arctic air. How are those futures looking?
Well, you know what? It certainly will be a lot less than last year, but you always see them jump a little bit in the cold weather. This will be a good year for heating oil expenses.
Thank you, Dan.
You're very welcome.
Chuck Coppola is all about Alibaba's big day. Good morning, Chuck.
Good morning, Angie. China's Alibaba has an historic $9 billion day. Yesterday was Singles Day in China, akin to Cyber Monday in the U.S., which it overtook as the world's biggest online shopping day. The e-retailer sold $9.3 billion worth of goods, easily beating last year's sales of $5.9 billion. Todd Horwitz of Average Joe Options says people thinking about buying Alibaba stock may want to hold off.
You know, I would certainly look at it at 100. Again, I might look at it at 105. I mean, I think it has a good chance to go back there. I mean, it even has a chance to go back to that 90 level. 90 was a real good breakout spot.
Alibaba's hot Singles Day sellers included American companies, Nike, Disney-themed items, as well as Huggies diapers.
China is bonding with the U.S. in a new way. U.S. investors have access to China's onshore bond market for the first time through a new exchange-traded fund. The market vector's China AMC China Bond ETF trades under the ticker symbol PEK. It's a broad basket of Chinese bonds that tracks China's high-quality bond index.
In our cover story, what's being described as a surprise trade deal between the U.S. and China may open the door wider for U.S. goods to be sold in China, the world's largest consumer market. The deal, announced shortly after President Obama arrived in Beijing for an economic conference, could amount to $1 trillion in technology trade.
It'll be easier for us to sell stuff there and easier for them to sell stuff here. Much of the raw material is now owned by China. China is a cheaper place to manufacture, so long term it gives them a huge advantage that they didn't really have up till now.
American and Chinese negotiators agreed to eliminate more than 200 categories of tariffs, some as high as 25% on semiconductors for computers, 8% on magnetic resonance imaging, MRI machines, and global positioning systems, GPS devices.
Much of the cell phone growth is expected to come out of China as well as go on in China. The parts for all of this stuff probably will increasingly come out of China. So now is the time.
Chinese believe that in certain areas, like the telecommunication equipment, dominated by a company called Huawei, is poised to become more competitive, take over the world in some segment. And they need to make certain concessions so that United States would give them better access to the market.
The agreement also eliminates tariffs on video game consoles and computer software. Altogether, the Obama administration says expanding the information technology agreement could boost markets for about $100 billion worth of products made in the U.S., generating as many as 60,000 new jobs while increasing competition for consumers' attention.
The consumer probably wins in the end because when you eliminate tariffs, you drive down prices, and regardless of where it is the stuff's built, we're going to be seeing it more cheaply.
It's not just a two-country deal. Final agreement needs the approval of representatives from more than 50 economies that have a stake in U.S.-China trade. They're expected to sign off on it, though, next month in Geneva.
A touching moment between President Obama and Russian President Vladimir Putin is getting plenty of scrutiny. This video shows the Russian president reaching out to the American president at the opening of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit Tuesday in Beijing. The touch is brief, but the Kremlin was quick to capitalize on the cozy moment by tweeting a number of shots showing the two leaders in close proximity, and it is confirmed the two did chat a bit about Iran, Syria, and Ukraine.
In Egypt, a meeting with U.S. business leaders is stirring up controversy. 60 U.S. companies, including IBM, Pfizer, and Visa, have wrapped a two-day meeting focusing on sparking economic growth in Egypt. However, human rights groups criticize U.S. involvement. It's as concern is rising that the Egyptian government is attempting to roll back freedoms for Egyptian citizens. A member of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce tells the Associated Press anything that the American business community can do to stimulate a challenged economy will do nothing but benefit Egyptian citizens at large.
Here in the U.S., investors are trying to decipher the sudden exit of the CEO of Juniper Networks. After spending less than a year on the job, Shaigen Sharipur is gone. Juniper's chairman tells reporters it was time for a change, that it was a combination of leadership and conduct in connection with a particular negotiation with a customer, and the company has named longtime executive Rami Rahim to fill that position. The stock fell more than 5% Tuesday. The SEC is said to be investigating Juniper for allegedly bribing foreign officials.
Veterans of the Iraq War are now preparing a legal battle against banks. 200 vets say that 6 international banks helped Iran move billions of dollars to terrorist organizations. The suit alleges that the money was used to execute terrorist plots, which killed hundreds of U.S. service members. The banks include Barclays, Standard Chartered, Royal Bank of Scotland, Credit Suisse, and HSBC, all of which declined to comment on the lawsuit.
Apple reportedly is fighting for a larger slice of corporate America. According to a report by Reuters, Apple has dispatched a sales team to pitch chief information officers at several corporations. Citigroup is said to be on the list of companies Apple would like to have using its products. Recently, Apple revealed a partnership with IBM as a way to get more apps in offices.
Google invests more than $1 billion in space, aviation, and robotics aspirations. The internet giant is paying NASA $1.16 billion for a 60-year lease on a 1,000-acre former airfield on the San Francisco Peninsula. Hangar 1, a Silicon Valley landmark, is included in the lease. A NASA press release says Google will use the acreage for research, development, and testing in the areas of space exploration and aviation. Critics are calling the lease a sweetheart deal for powerful Google executives.
Well, critics are not stopping Best Buy from opening its doors an hour earlier on Thanksgiving. Customers will have the chance to dash for discounts starting at 5 p.m. on the holiday. And workers will receive extra pay for dealing with the madness, which some say they actually enjoy. Yesterday, Best Buy showcased its hottest holiday deals, including high-def TVs for $200, GoPro cameras, and Apple iPads. A spokesman says the company is just going along with customer demands.
Well, they want the best products and the best brands and some of the best deals, and they want things like the price match guarantee, which we have, so we take price off the table. So they're looking for the right products at the right price.
Investors are less enthusiastic about the retailer. Best Buy stock is down for the year and traded last at $34.
Perpetually troubled Radio Shack takes a stab at boosting sales by also opening early on Thanksgiving. The electronics retailer says it'll open at 8 a.m. on the holiday. Radio Shack is far from alone in opening on Thanksgiving. Toys R Us, JCPenney, Sears, Kohl's, and Macy's will also be open, albeit not until evening hours. Radio Shack says its decision to open is based on consumer demand.
Bill Gates is involved in a food fight over mayonnaise. Hampton Creek Foods, backed by the Microsoft founder, is being sued over its vegan Just Mayo product. According to food giant Unilever, it does not contain eggs and therefore is not mayo. Unilever owns Hellmann's and Best Foods brand mayos and enjoys about 60% of the U.S. mayonnaise market. Globally, mayonnaise generates $11 billion in the food industry.
A fast food icon gets a modern makeover, none other than Ronald McDonald. One reason, sales of the burger giant not bringing in a lot of smiles. So Mickey D's plans to serve up some nostalgia. Send in the clown. Ronald's new look actually debuted quietly in April. Plans are to use its new old clown in at least 2 U.S. commercials this year.
A shakeup is happening in the ranking of business schools. For the first time, Duke has claimed the top spot in the Bloomberg Business Week list. It's followed by the University of Pennsylvania, the University of Chicago, Stanford, and Columbia. The elite Harvard Business School failed to make it into the top 5. The business school was given low marks due to a lack of diversity. On the economic calendar for today, it's the MBA Mortgage Index, wholesale inventories, and on the earnings outlook. It's busy. Cisco, Flowers Foods, Energizer Holdings, SeaWorld, JCP, Aramark, Pinnacle Foods, Macy's, and Dillard's. Still to come, big ways small companies can save money on Obamacare, plus how Ford plans to rule the road with its new aluminum trucks, and signs the options market is nervous about business at Macy's.
Nearly 6 months after Chrysler told highway safety officials that it would fix airbags in its cars that caused injuries instead of prevented them, repairs are about to start. December 19th, Chrysler will begin repairs for 371,000 models with Takata airbags that in some instances have exploded with too much force, injuring occupants. In a letter to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Chrysler says its field action is not a safety recall and mentioned numerous times that no defect determination has been made in its review of cars equipped with Takata airbags.
The United Auto Workers are looking for word any day now that union representation will be allowed at the Volkswagen plant in Tennessee. The UAW lost a vote to represent 1,500 workers at the Chattanooga plant earlier this year. However, the union maintains it has the support of the majority of the employees. If the UAW is successful, the Volkswagen plant will become the first foreign-owned auto assembly plant in the South with bargaining rights. There's no comment from VW. Bill Mahler joins us now with more on Ford.
Ford is doubling down on its #1 selling vehicle, the F-150 pickup. #1, in fact, for 32 straight years. It has invested more than $1 billion to retool the 2 assembly lines that'll be building this new all-aluminum truck. That includes the Dearborn, Michigan plant, which just yesterday saw the first 2015 F-150 roll off the line. Joe Henricks is Ford president of the Americas, and there he is standing right there in the Dearborn plant. Joe, what's new, better, different about how to make an aluminum truck?
Well, this is our most capable, toughest, and smartest truck we've ever produced. We're taking the #1 selling vehicle in America to a whole nother level. The big opportunity here is, of course, the weight savings that comes from going all aluminum with the body. Take up to 700 pounds of weight out of the truck, which makes the truck more capable. It can tow more, it can haul more, it can go faster, it can stop better, and more fuel efficient, but also this great new design with a lot of new technology. So we think it changes the game in trucks.
All right, well, you're selling a truck to me. I want you to tell me about the assembly line. What's different in all of that money you invested to retool the plant?
Because we went all aluminum with the body, we had to change the entire body shop. With a steel body vehicle, you do a lot of welding. With an aluminum body vehicle, you do a lot of riveting and self-piercing screws and bonding. It's a whole different process. We had to convert the whole plant over in about 4 weeks to make this new truck, and we're so excited to be now offering it to consumers in December.
Well, excited certainly, but there is a risk in terms of the dominance of the F-150. You don't know if it's going to be a seller out there because aluminum may be better, but it is slightly more expensive.
Well, you know, we've done over 10 million miles of testing on this truck. We're very confident it meets all of our Built Ford Tough standards. And we ask truck customers what they want. They want more capability. They want better fuel efficiency. The aluminum nature of this truck allows us to offer that to our truck customers because the vehicle has less weight. So our truck customers, they trust our brand, they want that capability, and they want that fuel efficiency. We know this truck is going to offer it to them.
All right, Joe Hendricks from Ford, thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
A snazzy car IPO is expected to zoom onto the stock market in 2015. Luxury car maker Ferrari will go public between the second and the third quarter of next year, according to the CEO of Fiat Chrysler. Reuters reports the roadshow begins in December. Coming up, a tricky retail trade. What could be in the cards for JCPenney on its earnings day? Plus, a small business guide to Obamacare. The Obama administration's overall free pass on the Affordable Care Act for companies is about to end. For more on what that could mean for businesses with 100 or fewer employees, Mark Lamb, Vice President of Employee Benefits Compliance at Assurance, is on set with us this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Angie.
So what will this mean for companies with fewer than 100 employees?
What it means is most of the Affordable Care Act mandate is going to apply to them next year, with the exception of the insurance component. That will still be one more year for them, but there's many reporting requirements that they still have to fulfill next year.
What types of companies are we talking about here? Are these restaurants?
Restaurants, employers with a lot of turnover, maybe with a lot of hourly employees, are the ones that are really facing the challenges with these tracking requirements.
What's your advice to those business owners?
Look past some of the, maybe the media sound bites and some of the commentary and look at exactly what is required and understand that while insurance may still not be on the plate for them in 2015, reporting requirements are very much on the plate, and those reporting requirements start January 1st.
What is required?
Their monthly status of every full-time employee is going to be reported to the federal government beginning January 1, 2015. The report will go January 2016. On top of that list to the government, you're also going to be providing an individual report to every single hourly employee that you have, every single full-time employee.
So the government wants to know, should you be covering these people? Should you not be covering these people?
Exactly.
What about self-funding? Is that a way to go?
Self-funding is definitely a way to look at providing the insurance component. When you use self-funding, you get a lot more flexibility with respect to your plan design. In the long run, if you run it properly, you're going to save a ton of money.
That's a way to manage it. Thanks for coming on our show.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. Still ahead at Trader Talks, Alibaba, Macy's, and JCP. Right after the break. Chart Talk is next. We have a busy Chart Talk today with James O'Malley of Option Hacker. Good morning. Let's get down to it and talk about Alibaba. You are going long Alibaba. You're a believer in this stock. So what's your plan and what's your price target?
Right, so I got long the name on Monday, right as we started to get the initial numbers on how well they were doing on Singles Day, which is China's version of Cyber Monday. And we got the final numbers on Tuesday into the early part of the morning session. We saw that they surpassed analyst estimates and sold $9.1 billion worth of merchandise in a single day. Now, the stock actually sold off on that news, and I am now underwater in this trade. However, on Monday, I was seeing a lot of bullish order flow in Alibaba around the 120 strike call line for this week. So market makers on Monday were implying a target just south of $123. And although the stock sold off on Tuesday, I still think that it can get there, and I have yet to exit my position.
Let's talk about Macy's as well. Earnings are coming out this morning. There's a big order flow from traders on this stock.
Right, so into the close in the later part of the afternoon session on Tuesday, we saw some very large spreads hitting the tape in Macy's. And what traders were buying were the November 57.5, 55, 1x2 put spreads, which would express some bearish sentiment in Macy's going into earnings. Now, these are a little bit different than regular put spreads because this trader is getting net short options, so they're expecting the stock to sell off to around that $55 level, but not go much lower than that. I got short Macy's as well going into earnings today.
You're shorting Macy's. What about JCPenney? This could be a tricky trade.
Right, so JCPenney is a very difficult stock to trade on earnings. There's a lot of hedge funds and institutional players that are involved in this name, so the order flow is very difficult to read. There's simply too many different parties with different opinions putting on positions in JCPenney. It's also a relatively cheap stock, which makes it very tough to trade from a commission standpoint. If I had to pick a direction, I would be looking to short JCPenney into the close. However, I need to watch a trade during the day a little bit first.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
The time has come for us to say so long for today. Coming up tomorrow on Movies and Money, yet another Disney dazzler at the box office. How the latest film caught critics by surprise, but investors were wise. From all of us at First Business, have a great Wednesday.